doctors did not to investigate Simra Ali's increased heart rate on 3 separate occasions in the 48 hours before her death, a hearing was told. The 10-year-old told medics she had suffered frequent abdominal pain, vomiting and tiredness, but her symptoms were initially diagnosed as a water infection. However, her inquest on Tuesday heard how the youngster collapsed at home just 3 days after her final visit to hospital. She was rushed to Sheffield Children's Hospital, but suffered a heart attack and died just 30 minutes later. She told her sister that she loved Mummy and her eyes rolled back and she stopped breathing. They were her last words, her grief-stricken mum Nighat Farzana said in a statement. Simra, described as energetic, beautiful and caring, had suffered from an enlarged heart caused by a fatal parvovirus infection, which is a common and highly contagious childhood ailment and usually easily treatable. Recording a narrative verdict, Senior Coroner for South Yorkshire Christopher Dorries highlighted 3 missed opportunities to identify the real cause and seriousness of Simra's condition. He said, Simra Ali, age just 10, died on March 16, 2017 at the Sheffield Children's Hospital, having collapsed at her home a short time before. The cause of death was dilated cardiomyopathy. Simra had presented at the hospital on March 12 and twice on March 13 and was incorrectly thought to be suffering an infection. Opportunities were lost to identify the true cause and seriousness of Simra's condition. Mr. Dorries said these failings included a missed opportunity for a senior review on March 12, despite Simra giving a heart rate reading of 140 bpm. In addition to this, doctors failed to carry out an electrocardiogram on March 13, despite the little girl having a heart rate of between 200 and 250 bpm. He said this procedure would have more likely than not identified the underlying cardiac problem. Mr. Dorries also said there was a further missed opportunity for a senior review before she was discharged on March 14, which could have diagnosed her heart condition. Her family's poignant statement was read out at the hearing. It said, while still feeling unwell, Samra didn't want to go to the hospital. Even Simra had lost faith in the hospital and refused to return there, asking if we could go somewhere else. During the afternoon before Samra's tragic death, her mum, Nighat Farzana, spoke to her on the phone while at work to reassure her. She asked me to come home, and I reassured her I was coming home soon. That was the last time I spoke to my daughter. Read more top stories from mirror.co.uk. Speaking after the hearing on behalf of the family, Nighat said, Simra was a lively, energetic, beautiful, caring girl who always put others first. Simra loved her family and we had never been parted. To lose her in such tragic and sudden circumstances is heartbreaking. I will never forget that pain and suffering Simra had to endure in the week leading up to her tragic death. We feel that the hospital should have taken our concerns and Simra's visually poor health more seriously. They should have tried to establish the cause of her ongoing health rather than dismissing it as an infection. Because of this, I will not see my daughter develop into a young lady living her dream of becoming a pharmacist like her sister. Nor will I have the opportunity to tell her how much I loved her, as she was always telling me. Sally Shearer, Director of Nursing and Quality at Sheffield Children's Hospital, said, "We are truly sorry to Simra's family for their loss. We accept the inquest findings and acknowledge that opportunities to diagnose Samra earlier were missed. We have taken on board the lessons as part of our own internal review, and we will be contacting Simra's family directly to apologize."